This week, the latest Pixar film, Elio, drops in theaters. So let's talk about it. Hi, my name is Sean, and I love to talk about movies and TV way too much. With that in mind, go ahead and join me down below in the comment section. Let me know, what did you think about Elio? If you haven't seen it yet, what's your excitement level? With that said, let's get started. And for me, Elio felt like Pixar trying really hard to tap into the classic Pixar magic, where it really wants to capture childhood wonder. In the context of this movie, a child looking out at space and just dreaming of what can be. Likewise, it wants to tap into that Pixar emotional magic. And so in the case of this movie, it's a child whose parents are dead, and he feels alone. And the movie uses that as a way to explore this idea of, are we alone in the universe? This child feels alone. He's trying to find a connection. And so it's trying to childhood wonder plus like really deep familial tragedy to draw big emotions. And then we're trying to have this big Pixar world where we go into space and we discover all these aliens and this alien society and all these little creative details on how we capture their world. And so it's trying really hard to be the next great Pixar movie. And all that said, I never feel like it actually captures all of that. It's a good movie. It really wants to be a great movie, but it never really succeeds at that. It feels like they are trying to do something that you can feel their ambitions, but for that same reason, I feel like you also feel them not quite getting there. And it's the sort of thing where you have to discuss that with Pixar because they have put out so many movies that aren't just really good. Pixar's not a studio famous for putting out good movies. They're a studio famous for this insane hot streak of putting out one of the best animated film of all time, like this string of just absolutely classic, universal animated films that are beloved by children as well as parents. And as you grow up, you love them even more. They're not just good movies for the year, they're great movies for all time. And they had an incredible hot streak for about 15 years from Toy Story to Toy Story 3. And in the last 15 years, they've had many more great movies in there too. Not that they haven't done great movies in the last 15 years, but it hasn't been as consistent as it was during the original 15-year run. So, Pixar just putting out a good movie, you kind of have to discuss it in terms of the studio in general. And where does it compare to the rest of their filmography? This feels like them trying to get back to that universal, big emotions, broad sweeping, and you feel the swing. They're swinging for the fences, and they get like a double. A double is really good, but you feel them calling their shots, swinging for the fences with dead parents and this metaphor and everything like that, the robust worlds. So why did it feel to me like it wasn't quite as good as it thought it was? And I think some of it is just the simple heavy-handed nature of, once again, like, how do we make a story about a child feel like really alone? You kill both of his parents. Maybe I'm just old enough that it plays a little bit different for me, but it felt like, let's kill his parents so that we can give him an emotional arc. I mean, that's like, you just feel like, and he's bullied, and this, and this. And so it feels a little bit too overcooked. It's not poorly done, just a little overcooked, like you're trying a little bit too hard to manipulate me into feeling bad for this kid, who the kid himself is difficult, but you put up with it because you see the context under which all this is happening, so you feel sorry for the kid who's had this tragic thing happen, so you kind of forgive his very odd behavior. Today's video is brought to you by Factor. Summer is here. We've got more sun, the pool is open, and I want to spend my summers with my kids at the pool, not in the kitchen cooking and cleaning. That's where Factor comes in. Factor's chef-crafted, dietitian-approved meals are ready in just 2 minutes, taking the hassle out of eating well. Factor meals arrive fresh and ready to eat. With over 45 weekly menu options, you can pick gourmet meals, choose from options like Calorie Smart, Protein Plus, Keto, and more. I go with either Keto or Protein Plus because I'm a high protein, low carb kind of guy.
Just got back from the gym. We've got queso fundido and ground beef and cauliflower rice, all with over 40 grams of protein.
Factor powers your day sun up to sundown with nutritious breakfasts, on-the-go lunches, premium dinners, and guilt-free snacks and desserts. Factor has your whole day covered. I use Factor to hit my dietary goals with delicious and convenient meals, and you can too. Get started at factormeals.com/Sean Chandler 50 off and use code Sean Chandler 50 off to get 50% off plus free shipping on your first box. That's code Sean Chandler 50 off at factormeals.com/Sean Chandler 50 off for 50% off plus free shipping. And kind of from there, it feels like it's a movie composed of a lot of familiar parts. The basic structure of it is Galaxy Quest, a case of mistaken identity of a abducted person, and they're kind of put into a leadership position to go up against an overly aggressive villain, even to the extent that there's an element of the fans helping. That was a big thing in the movie Galaxy Quest. The fans help late in the movie to kind of help us get through something. So if you've seen the movie Galaxy Quest many times, you will feel a lot of Galaxy Quest in this movie, just this time it's with children, not with Star Trek fans. Fake Star Trek fans, pseudo Star Trek fans. It's also Three Amigos, once again, mistaken identity type story. So it's a template that's been done before. There's just a lot of familiar elements. The explorers from Amblin in the 1980s about children building a spaceship and trying to connect with aliens and getting sucked up in the space, and then the adventure unfolds. Like, there's just a lot of these things that felt very familiar, like we're composing it from borrowed parts. And it's a movie that felt like it had a few too many ideas. This is a movie that was delayed a year and a half because they were reworking it. And I think there's a few ways in which you feel that watching the film, that the first act of the movie is kind of about one thing and like his longing for something bigger and more. And then the middle act is about his relationship with an alien. And then the third act is kind of a whole different story. Or like it's kind of its own thing that ties back to the first one. So each act kind of feels very different from the previous acts. Like we're pulling too many ideas together. Once again, it's not bad. It's just not as good as it thinks it is. So the kid is charming enough, and his friendship with the alien, you like it and you buy into the two of them. But then once again, it feels a little bit overcooked, where a lot of conflict could be avoided with basic conversations. And then the resolution to very big intergalactic problems are resolved with basic conversations that in the context, that shouldn't resolve that problem, but it could have resolved this problem. So there's just a few things like that moments either conflict feels a little bit overcooked or resolutions don't feel fully deserved. But like I said, like it's a good movie. Like it's well made. And if a different studio put out this film and they released it with a more reasonable budget, and what I mean by that is that the official budget for this movie is $150 million. The reported budget is $300 million. 150 is like a very high budget for an animated movie these days. Like if you look at what the other studios spend on animated movies, Across the Spider-Verse, Puss in Boots, The Last Wish, anything from Illumination, it's nowhere near $150 million. And like something like Across the Spider-Verse is a much more groundbreaking and obvious. It's using animation in a much more creative way than this movie does. So even at $150 million, I kind of go, I feel like Pixar is overspending on their movies. That there are these very dense graphics with these worlds that are very fleshed out, and someone holds up a cup and like everything inside of it jiggles and everything has to be programmed, and all of it has these simulations and everything like that. And you see a beach and you can see every grain of sand, and when you move, it's all moving. There's such detailed sand simulations. Cool. Doesn't make the movie any better. Like the where the budget goes to do these like incredibly advanced sand simulations doesn't make the movie better. And so to me, that's overspending on something that isn't interesting enough in the realm of animation. That's what I felt with this movie as well as with Elemental, that also had a very large budget for a rom-com. Very cool elemental graphics of water and fire and stuff like that. But how much did that make the movie better? I don't know that you needed to spend that much. Like the added benefit of the extra $100 million on these movies, I don't know what it does. And so you spend $150 million, maybe $300 million. I normally assume the official budget versus the reported budget. Let's find a number in the middle. That's probably what's real. And they're spending so much money on something that is good, but there's no reason to spend that much money on it. And it doesn't feel like it captures the magic of what came before. That's kind of like what was my experience watching kind of the whole movie, of like, I felt like it was trying to manipulate me a little bit into feeling more than I was actually feeling. And that's why this review even has the tone that it has. Because it's like enjoyable space stuff. The central metaphor that I wish the movie leaned into even a little bit more, and maybe cut some of the other stuff. Like, let's zero in on this. But that central idea of, are we alone in the universe as a people, but then as a person, am I all alone? That's a really good connection that you can build something around. And when it kind of leans into that, it actually has the Pixar magic. But it tries to overcook that, where it's like the parents both have to be dead, and there's misunderstanding with Ant, and there's bullying, and he can't fit in, and people won't listen to him, and so it's everything. It just so overdoes it, and they push the kid to even do some choices that make it like, well, yeah, if you're literally basically lying and stealing to someone, of course you're all alone. That you lose the metaphor a little bit if you cook it and you fake it too much. And so there's a stuff in there that's really good. And you can almost see where maybe that's why they kept reworking it, trying to get it right, is they knew there was something there that could be really, really cool. But it wasn't quite there yet. And they never quite found it. And I felt like they tried to manipulate to capture it. But I have to keep repeating, that doesn't make it bad. It just felt like we're swinging for the fences, and we got that single, that double. So there's charming moments. There are emotional beats that work. There's a central metaphor that's really good. But I always felt like there's a better movie they could have made out of everything they were trying to do with the film. Overall, it's a B on the entertainment scale, a 7 out of 10. And it's a good family movie to go see, but there's also no reason to rush out to see it if you're a little bit tight on money. So somewhere between see it and stream it. It'll be on Disney Plus soon enough. And your kids will really enjoy it. My daughter's had a good time with it. It's good. But Pixar is known for making great films, and it's not quite that.